Ahoy, shipmates! I was hoping for clear blue skies. That's what the weatherman told me. But this morning it's overcast and a bit hazy. We're going to have a look at the Queen Mary 2. Having said that, there are some breaks in the clouds. There are some sunbeams coming down, so who knows, perhaps this will generate some decent photography. If I can manage to catch something worthy, I shall have a go. Now the Queen Mary 2 returns to the port of Southampton after having been away for a little while. In fact, let's have a look and see where she's been. As you can see, she has been at anchor in Weymouth Bay. She took a little stroll down the channel, round the Isle of Wight where all the other cruise ships are parked, like in some massive car park, and back to Southampton. The bay in Weymouth has become another popular place for the cruise ships to drop anchor. In fact, there's been some great shots in the news of many of the cruise ships all at anchor in the bay. It's a very unusual sight. But the Queen Mary 2 is just returning to the port, just for a short stop, arriving here at just after 8 in the morning and then departing at 4:30 in the afternoon. My guessing is she's loading up with some food and perhaps fuel, and maybe transferring some crew, but she's not here for long. And then I'm not sure where she's going to after that. Perhaps she's returning to Weymouth Bay to drop anchor again. She certainly can't go to the Nab anchorage, which is to the east of the Isle of Wight, as that is full. There are lots of Marella cruise ships there, and some others, and some tankers, and some container ships. It's astonishingly very busy. If I could get out there and have a little look, I think it would be a phenomenal sight. Alas, it's slightly beyond the range of my flying abilities, and as we are in lockdown, we can't really go out on our boats. Having said that, the Isle of Wight is today using this new app for contact tracing. Very exciting that the Isle of Wight is at the forefront of the technological race to beat the virus. It's not something that trips off the tongue easily, the Isle of Wight and technology. If you're not familiar with the Isle of Wight, it's well known for being like a time capsule, stepping back into the 1950s or 60s. I mean, that's what it feels like here today in the port of Southampton. I wonder what it feels like on the Isle of Wight today, maybe the 1930s. That's a real time-travelling experience. But back to the matter in hand. I'm going to try for a shot here. The Queen Mary 2 is coming in nice and smoothly, puffing a little bit out of her funnels. Bit of a shimmer on the water, but it's not as bright as yesterday, which is an advantage, because when it's really bright it's too difficult to get a decent shot. I'm going to have to tilt down a bit. It's come out actually better than I was anticipating. I managed to pull out a few rays of sun. That's really rather nice. I'll try a different one. That's better. Trying to get a bit of colour in. Unfortunately, there's very grey this morning. And as you can see, there's no shuffleboarding going on. In fact, I can't see anyone at all. No deckhands. No sun lounges in operation. All the bars will be closed. No chance for a rum at the moment, I suppose. The Queen Mary 2 was launched in January of 2004 by Queen Elizabeth II. She cost £460 million. Weighing in at 150,000 tonnes. So that's 75,000 tonnes less than the Allure of the Seas. A length of 345 metres. And a beam of 41. Total of 18 decks with 14 passenger decks. Yeah, certainly getting a good look at the empty swimming pools on the stern here. All those sun lounges are packed away. I'm guessing the crew on board are not allowed to sun themselves and have fun. Top speed for the Queen Mary 2 is 30 knots, or 56 kilometres an hour for you continental types. 35 miles an hour in Queen's mileage. And here we are, two magnificent ships getting quite close to each other. I sense an opportunity here. I think I'm going to have a quick run round to the bow. See what we can do. The 30 knots top speed is considerably faster than the 22 knots of the Allure of the Seas. And this is one of the distinguishing features of a ocean liner rather than a cruise ship. Oh yes, I'm almost worthy of a postcard. If only we had the backdrop of a Lower Manhattan and the Statue of Liberty. That really would be something. But instead we have the Southampton flour mills and the glorious blue and yellow of IKEA, which is also shut at the moment. I'm struggling for my meatballs. Capacity is 2,695 passengers with 1,253 officers and crew. I think, as is usual with the Queen Mary 2, she is going to go up to the far end of the docks, swing around and come back. As it's Thursday today, and clap for our carers, or as I like to say, hoot for our helpers, it will be really nice to get the sound of both the Queen Mary 2 and the Allure of the Seas in between. But unfortunately the Queen Mary 2 is leaving at about 4 o'clock. So the hoots of the Queen Mary 2 will not be in this evening's cacophony. As a comparison, the Queen Mary 2 is 345 metres long, and the USS Enterprise, the American aircraft carrier, is 342 metres long. That's a very big ship indeed. But both of those are much smaller than the Knock Nevis or ex-Seawise Giant, which comes in at 458 metres. I would certainly like to have a bit of supertanker dronage, but I don't expect I will see a supertanker in the port of Southampton anytime soon. Queen Mary 2's principal naval architect is Carnival's in-house designer, Stephen Payne. He intended many aspects of the ship's design to resemble notable aspects of former ocean liners, such as the Queen Elizabeth II and the ship's predecessor, the Queen Mary. These include 3 thick black lines known as hands that wrap around either edge of the ship's bridge screen and the stern end of the superstructure, which are all able to recall the appearance of crossovers of forward decks on the first Queen Mary. The Queen Mary 2 has 14,000 square metres of exterior deck space with windscreens to shield passengers in the rough seas. Unfortunately, it's coming to that time. I need to swap out a battery. I can get about 22 minutes, maybe 23 minutes of flight time with a small comfort safety zone for landing on something dry and hard, not in the water. But it does require a frequent changing of battery, especially when recording the extended manoeuvrings of ships. But I've heard shipmates say they like to watch this part of the process, so I'm happy to oblige. We saw some of the swimming pools earlier, but apparently the Queen Mary 2 was originally constructed with 5 swimming pools. However, the shallow splash pool on deck 13 was removed during the ship's 2016 refurbishment to make room for additional staterooms. Two of her remaining pools are outside, the ones we saw on the stern, and there are indoor pools on deck 7, in the Canyon Ranch Spa Club, and on deck 12. The pavilion pool on deck 12 is covered by a retractable magrodome. I'm not sure what a magrodome is. It sounds like something out of Flash Gordon. Bring me the magrodome. can see, the sun is playing along here and lighting up the Queen Mary quite nicely. And a slight technical difficulty there. Absent-mindedly moved the controls. In common with liners such as the Queen Mary, there is a continuous wraparound promenade deck on deck 7. This passes behind the bridge screen and allows passengers to circumvent the deck while protected from winds. One circuit is 620 metres. The flanking promenades are created by the need to step the superstructure to allow for lifeboats. According to standards, these lifeboats should have been lower on the hull. But for the sake of appearance, as well as to avoid the danger of large waves damaging the boats, the Queen Mary 2 was allowed to install them at 25 metres above the waterline, rather than the permitted 15 metres. You can just about see the lifeboats from here. Zoom back, and unfortunately that's the end of another battery, but she's almost at the quayside. So, until next time, shipmates.